He pops it up. Crocker's there to make the catch. And that's the ball game, folks.
The spacecraft equipment is going to internal power. We'll be looking for an ignition of those 5 first stage engines. 10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence has started. 6, 5, 4, 3, 1, 0. Building up to 7.6 million pounds of thrust. We have commit and we have liftoff at 2:13.
It's a beauty. It's another beauty.
And it has cleared the tower.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go.
I'm Big Lou, and I want to invite you to Peary Motor Spa. It's never been easier.
It's a good one. Looks like a very good one.
Up next on Shark Tank, we have a 27-year-old youth pastor from Iowa who's here to gain not only respect, but a possible raise. He will be making his pitch to not only his lead pastor, but the church secretary and a parent of one of his students.
It's the wrong room. Thanks. Okay. Hey Sharks, my name is Malachi Reynolds, and I'm here to ask all of you for a 10% raise and an 80% increase in overall respect. Being a youth pastor is tough. Not only do we teach, raise thousands of dollars annually, and organize countless events, but we also hold a huge responsibility in molding the younger generation into confident and mature Christians. All of this is a lot of work, and I believe it would be a great opportunity to show your gratitude by bumping up my pay and finally seeing me as a real pastor. So what do you say, Sharks? Who's ready to dive in?
Ooh, mercy. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't listening to one word you just said. He's asking for a raise.
And respect.
Yeah, okay. That was phenomenal. You knocked it out of the park. But you do know you were 15 minutes late today, right?
Yes, sorry. I was actually fixing a hole in the wall, so.
What hole?
Nothing. So, do we have any questions?
Yeah, I have a few concerns. First off, why do you think you deserve more money?
Great question, Shark.
It's pastoring.
I believe that having a bachelor's degree and with a family, I have proven with my work that a $15,000 salary for a full-time position may be a little lower than what I needed. I've also had a lot of troubled kids who need a lot of help.
Wait a minute, did you just call my kid troubled?
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about your son. I think he's very smart for his age.
For his age? Oh, so he's dumb for any other age. Where do you get off?
No, you're reading me all wrong.
Oh, so now I can't read. Malachi, come on, buddy. I told you there was something off about him.
Okay, I apologize. But to get back on track, what do we think about the pay increase?
Where do you see us getting all that extra money for you so we can get you that raise that you think you deserve?
If we didn't have room in our account, I was thinking we could take some funds from the youth ministry budget.
What youth ministry budget? We have a youth ministry budget? I have a question.
Go ahead.
Why is it that my kid spends all this time at church, yet comes home and still misbehaves? Riddle me that, Mr. Sandals.
All right, well, teenagers will always act up, but it's always important to remember that the biggest source of influence comes from the parents.
I disagree.
Okay.
Now, I'm fine if we can, for the pay raise, if we can find the money, but there's whole respect thing. What's that about?
Well, there's a certain stigma around youth pastors that just because we teach kids, play silly games, and sometimes make incredibly embarrassing mistakes during our sermons, that we aren't real pastors.
Are you, though?
Sure I am. Are you? Yes.
Are you?
Yes?
Fine, all right, but you're gonna have to meet us halfway because you're gonna have to step it up a little bit.
Excellent. In what way?
Ooh, I don't know, right off the top of my head, maybe not writing your lessons 5 minutes before youth group?
That's fair.
And just because you can fit 23 people inside a 15-passenger van doesn't mean you should. You know, because safety. Lawsuits.
Duly noted. So do we have a deal?
Well, since you started babysitting my kids,
Not a babysitter.
I haven't noticed an enormous transformation in them. And honestly, I just don't like you.
Ouch.
And for that reason, I'm out. Get them, sharks. All right, Mal, I'm gonna give you that pay raise, all right? I'm gonna boost up your respect by giving you 2 more preaching Sundays this year on one condition. You take full charge of VBS next week while I'm on sabbatical in Miami. Deal?
I don't think...
Excellent. Pleasure doing business with you.
Hey Sharks, I'm Carl. So there's countless work to be done around the church. Stacking, unstacking chairs, plumbing, yard work, and countless other things. But what's the problem? We don't have enough people to help. So that's why I'm here to introduce my product, Let the Youth Do It.
We're in.
And $1 million.
We can swing that. We could push that Costa Rica trip a few years. This takes priority. I like you. You're a funny one, aren't you?
People have said that.
I like him too.
Come! All right. That was easy.
He's cute.
Hey, what is up? Welcome back to Floor One. Today we are kicking off a brand new series called What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do. Listen, sometimes knowing what to do is easy. Like when your car is running low on gas, you put gas in it. When you see something funny, you take a picture of it, you put it on Snapchat. But then there's other times when knowing what to do isn't as easy. Like you're gonna find yourself in situations in your life where you don't know what the next step is. You don't know what to say. You don't know how to react, and you don't know what people you should let in on the drama that's happening in your life. And when that happens, it's easy to get frustrated, it's easy to get angry, it's easy to get overwhelmed. In the end, most of us, we just give up. Well, over this next 5 weeks, we're gonna be looking at the life of a guy named Joseph. And Joseph was always finding himself in situations that were beyond his capabilities. But over this next series, as we look into his life, we're going to find that there is actually a lot we can do when we don't know what to do. I'm excited to kick off message 1 out of this series, but before we do that, let's prepare our hearts and our minds to receive this truth by worshiping together.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God. That is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God. That is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. Oh, you are here. You're mending every heart. I worship you. Yeah, I worship you, Lord. Yeah, you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Oh, it's who you are, Lord. You're the waymaker, Lord. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop. Yeah, you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.
So, when you don't know how to do something, how to fix something, or how something works, what do? Ask a teacher? Ask your parents? Ask your friends? Ask someone you really know and trust? No! You go to the internet and ask some randos. But I'm not talking about creeps here, I hope. No, I mean the people of the internet! You know, those people who make how-to videos. Because chances are, if you're trying to figure out something, someone on the internet has already figured it out for you. Things like, how do I unsend a text? No. How do I do a winged eyeliner? How do I get rid of the zit by Friday night? How do I get out of gym class? How do I screen cap Snapchat without getting caught? They'll never know. But then there are things in life that don't have an easy fix, that don't have a simple solution, that don't have a how-to video. Things like what to do when you have problems with family, or when it seems like you have no control in your life, or what to do when someone has done something to you. I mean, clearly, they gotta go. The truth is, there's a lot of life that doesn't have a solution you can just find online. So how do you know what to do when you don't know what to do?
You ever feel like you're living in two different worlds? Like there's the way that you hang out and act with your friends, and there's the way that you hang out and act with your family. I mean, think about it. There are things that you wear around the house that you would never wear out in public. And there are ways that you act in front of your mom and your dad that you would never act in front of your friends. I think we can all agree that we act a little bit weirder when we're at home. And here's another thing that's true. We're a little bit more difficult when we're at home. I mean, there are things that you do at home that you would never do when you're with your friends. Like you would never leave your dirty dishes and your dirty laundry all over the place at your friend's house, but we do it at home. And you would never talk to your coach or your teacher the way that you probably talk to your step-parents. I know you definitely aren't going to treat your teammates the way that you treat your siblings. And you do not go off on people outside of your house the way that you go off on people inside of your house. I mean, isn't it amazing that we act two completely different ways depending on where we are? And I think if we're honest, when we look at our homes, it is our world, and everybody that we're sharing the house with is just living in it. I mean, there are things that we say and do to our family that just wouldn't fly anywhere else. And I know you might be saying, well, hey, I'm the same person at home than I am at school. I'm the same. It's the same attitude. And I get it. Like, you probably do have the same attitude, but you have to agree that the way you act at home is a little bit different, because home, for a lot of us, feels like the safest place where we can truly be ourselves. Because we know this, that no matter how we act at home, no matter what we do, the people that love us are still going to love us. And so here's what that means. Unfortunately, the real version of you, it might just be the worst version of you. You see, this is because home is the place where we respond to the world around us. It's the visible answer to the question, how is this affecting you? Like, there are things that are going to affect you every single day, things that are happening at school, things that are happening in the world, things that you're seeing on social media, things happening with your friends, things happening with your boyfriend or girlfriend. And when those things happen outside of your house, you don't always get to react to it in the most real way possible. So what do? You come home and you unload on your family. And here's what happens. Your family will respond to the way you respond to the world. And then they're going to give you a response. And then you're going to give them a response based off their response. And back and forth and back and forth. And it creates this vicious cycle of tension. So here's what that means. You and I, we have to take ownership of this cycle. We have to take ownership of the tension. We have to take ownership of the attitude that we live in. So what do we do then when that tension becomes so high that we don't know how to fix it? Here's the truth. Family is hard. But the good news is, whatever situation you're in right now, it is not unique to you. Like, one of the things I love about the scriptures is full of real people with real lives dealing with real problems. And one of those people is a guy named Joseph. We're going to be looking at his life over the next 5 weeks and talking about how he reacts to things that he's not really sure what to do about. Like, here's something you need to understand about Joseph. His family was full of drama. He had 11 brothers. There were 4 moms in the family, and there was 1 dad. It was nothing but drama. Matter of fact, the whole family situation started with drama. Jacob, which is Joseph's father, met Joseph's mother, Rachel, and fell in love with her. And so he wanted to marry Rachel. Well, the problem was Rachel was the youngest in her family, and Rachel had an older sister named Leah. And when the Bible talks about the difference between Rachel and Leah, it tries to be delicate, but basically Rachel was a hottie and Leah, she wasn't. Jacob didn't love Leah. And so on the night of the wedding, Jacob gets tricked into marrying Leah instead of Rachel. He ultimately gets to marry Rachel, but ends up having to work 7 years for the opportunity to do so. And so their marriage already starts off rough. So much family drama. And to make matters worse, Rachel can't have kids, but man, Leah, she can have kids all day long. And Leah holds that over Rachel. In the end, Leah and her maidservant will give Jacob 10 sons. And Rachel and her maidservant, they will give Jacob, and Rachel will give Jacob 2. And so this is where the tension picks up. Because of the love that Jacob has for Rachel, obviously Rachel's kids becomes Jacob's favorite kids. And Rachel's first kid was Joseph. Jacob loved Joseph so much that he gave him a special coat. It's a coat of many colors. And this coat symbolized the fact that Jacob was clearly, or that Joseph, I cannot get these J names together, that Joseph was clearly the favorite of all of Jacob's kids. And so their story is found in Genesis chapter 37. And all of the tension starts with a dream that Joseph has. In Genesis 37:6, it says this, Joseph, he said to them, listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. His brothers said to him, do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us? And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Like, can you imagine the tension? Like, it's already a horrible family drama that everybody's been dealing with for years between these two moms competing over the affection of Jacob. And now Jacob has this son, Joseph, and he has clearly said to all the other brothers, this is my favorite. This is my number one kid. And to make matters worse, Joseph has this dream that he is superior to all of his family. And then he tells his brothers about the dream. And the scripture says that they hated him. They hated Joseph. Let me tell you what Joseph's biggest mistake was. Man, Joseph didn't read the room. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where somebody didn't read the room. They walk in and they act a certain way or they say certain things. And clearly this isn't the space for that kind of behavior. And really, Joseph just did what so many of us do. Joseph was hyper aware of how people treated him, but he was completely unaware of how his actions were treating other people. This is very common in our families. We're always thinking about how people bother us and how our parents affect us and our siblings affect us and what we're doing is affecting us. But we never ever stop to think about how is what we're doing affecting the people that we're living life with. Because when you look at these verses, it's not really about a coat and it's not really about a dream. These verses are about family tension. Tension that started way before Joseph was even born. Tension that ultimately was never dealt with. And here's the thing, when we don't deal with tension in our families, it grows because family is complicated. And you and I, we have an effect on our families. And when we don't resolve tension immediately, it does not go away. And so we're setting the stage for the next 5 weeks, but this moment here, this tension that ultimately wasn't created by Joseph, but ultimately that Joseph then fed into because he couldn't read the room. This tension is going to cause a series of events that is going to drastically affect not just Joseph's life, not just his brother's life, but ultimately it's going to affect an entire generation of people. And here's the thing I love about this story. Joseph's life teaches us that things could have been different. Like, for example, listen, Joseph could have seen himself as part of the problem and he could have changed. I mean, what would happen if we could see ourselves as part of the problem and we could change? Jacob, Joseph's father, could have seen that favoritism is probably causing some issues in the house and maybe I should stop playing favorites. Imagine what would happen if we could do that. If we could actually realize that there is an issue that I'm causing with my actions. And if I just stop, I could bring peace. And the brothers, man, they could have just chilled out. Like Joseph was the youngest of the brothers. They could have just said, listen, he's a kid. But obviously years of mounted tension between their parents brought them to this point that they had to hate on somebody. And everybody was insecure in this moment. And I think that's the issue, right? If everybody could have not allowed their insecurity to control them, it probably could have been a different outcome. Like, isn't that the truth in our homes? Isn't the reality that the reason why we fight most of the time, the reason why we act the way that we do is because we're all just insecure, scared to admit we're wrong, scared to ask for help, scared to be honest and open and trusting with each other. Man, family is messy and family is complicated. And Joseph's family drama, it's not so different than your family drama because no matter who you are in the family, whether you're the youngest, whether you're the oldest, you're the athletic one, you're the smart one, you're the one that always is getting in fights, or you're the one that doesn't speak up enough, whether you feel like you're the favorite or you don't feel like you're the favorite at all, it doesn't matter. Every single person you and me, we play a role in our families. And so what I'm hoping happens over this next series, and what I'm hoping happens today, is that you would start to pay attention to the role that you have in your family and the way that role affects your family, how it affects the tensions, the attitudes, and the culture of the things that are happening inside your house. Because ultimately, that thing and that culture is going to ultimately affect you. And so you and I, we have to decide what kind of role we're going to play in our homes, and then we're going to have to choose how we treat people. Now, depending on what your family looks like and depending on how you've been treated, it can become very difficult, because the reality is a lot of us that are listening today, we come from loving homes with really supportive and encouraging parents. And the reality is, you know, the problems that are happening in your house is caused from you. If you just stopped being a turd and you started being cool, things would work out. But some of us, man, we don't come from loving homes. The tension might not be because of you. The tension might be because of your siblings. It might be because of your parents. We're all coming from different places, but it doesn't change the fact that families are messy, and you and I have the ability to affect what happens in our house. But the question is still the same, and where do we start? How do we start to make things better? Well, as we go to the New Testament, in a letter that Paul writes to the church in Philippi, here's what he says. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of others. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. This is how we change the culture in our homes. But let me just give you a bonus. This is how we change the culture everywhere. The world would be a better place if we lived like this. Your world would be a better place. I'm not just talking about the world you live in, big global scale. I'm talking about the little worlds that you live in, like your relationship circles. I'm talking about the people that you call your friends, your dating circles. I'm talking about the people that you work with, the people that you go to school with, the people that you play sports with. Every single circle that you're ever going to be in, you have an effect on. And it all starts right here with this verse. Doing nothing out of selfish ambition. Being humble. Looking to other interests above yourself. It's doing what Jesus did when he walked this earth. It's putting other people first. So how do we practically take these 5 verses and bring them into steps that you could follow right now? Well, first off, I suggest writing that verse down and just looking over it all week. Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 through verse 8. And let that be something that you just think about and reflect on and talk through. Let this be your new motto to how you're going to handle the relationships in your life. And then I would just want to give you some steps. First off, I think you should pay attention to how you see yourself. It's amazing the power that the way that you see yourself ultimately affects the way that you see other people. You guys have heard us talk about this on Floor One all the time. Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose. Clear eyes means I'm seeing myself the way that God sees me, which changes the way I see other people. You need to have a healthy start. You gotta be able to care about yourself and love yourself the way that God loves you. And then you need to invite some other people to speak into your life about how you're treating your family. And some of you already have that. Like, you've got friends that hang out with you and like they watch the way you treat the people in your house, and they even say some things like, why are you so mean to your parents? Or why do you always got to be like that to your siblings? And you always just brush it off and say, well, they deserve it. They don't understand me. Do they? Listen to those voices. And if you don't have any of those voices, bring some of those voices in. Hopefully you've got some good friends in your life that want the best for you and love Jesus and want you to love Jesus, and just check in with them and say, hey, I've been struggling with my parents. I've been struggling with my siblings. I've been struggling with, whoever you're living with, and say, could you just check on me in these moments and just make sure I'm being okay and I'm being cool? And then the final step is I just want to encourage you to ask someone, what's the best thing to do when you don't know what to do? Hopefully you have somebody in your life that you can look up to and talk to about these things. Like, hopefully it's your small group leader. It's why we do small groups. Small groups are so important because we want to put leaders in your life that help you answer the tough questions. Sometimes they're tough to ask your parents. But when you're faced with a situation and you're doing all the right things and you're checking all the boxes and still not working, that's when you need to get a hold of somebody and just say, hey, how do I handle this situation? How do I be the person that Jesus wants me to be? Because right now I can't handle this tension. I can't handle this attitude, and I just want to get out. Listen, I promise you there is a better way to deal with the situations that are happening in your family. There is something to do when you don't know what to do. And imagine what would happen if we all started doing this. What if we paid attention to the way that we affected people? What if the solutions to your family started with you today? And what if your behavior and the way you loved your family could be a reflection of who Jesus is in those verses? Listen, I know it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard and it's going to be messy, but I can promise you this. If you're willing to give it a shot, it will be worth it. Let me pray for you. Jesus, thank you so much for the moments that we get to share together. Just thank you for this online experience and the capabilities to reach out to each other when we can't be together. God, I just thank you for this truth today. As we get ready to jump into Joseph's life and we look at all these decisions, that it's crazy to think that this whole journey we're about to begin on started with family tension. Tension that began the day that Jacob married Rachel and Leah. And it's going to come to an end as we're going to read in a couple weeks. But this moment of unresolved tension, I gotta thank God that there are just students that are listening right now that have unresolved tension in their families, tension that may be years old. And today would be a great day to resolve that tension. Today's a great day to say sorry. Today's a great day to say I forgive you. Today's a great day to say I love you. Today is a great day to say I will try to be better. Change starts with us. We're just asking right now, God, that you would give us the strength to do it. Jesus, we thank you and we love you. In your name, amen. Well, hey, I just want to thank you so much for hanging out with us online today. It is always our hope that this time would stir your affections for Jesus and it would just make your day better. Listen, you are a difference maker. You can change the world. You just got to believe in yourself. We believe in you, God believes in you, and we believe that together, man, we can do anything. We love you guys. We are praying for you, and we cannot wait to see you next